The coils that we're going to be using in this project are machine made with the extruder. It's a very simple apparatus. You load the clay in the back, and then you just pull down the handle and the coils will come out. This operation is best done with two people, so that one can be pulling down on the handle while the other one guides the clay out. Now, if the clay is too hard, then it's going to be very difficult to pull down this handle. If it is difficult to pull down this handle, then get my attention. We probably need to put softer and clay in it. What you don't want to do is you don't want to put all your weight on it here, forcing it, and you don't want to jerk it like this, because this is a nice piece of equipment and we want it to last a long time. Alright, so I'm going to start my work on the smaller of my two vases, and putting that aside, I've got my base right here. And the first thing that I might do is match that base so that it's on the same curve as my key. See, going all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, just gently manipulating it a little bit, right? So I'll do it down here. Now the bottom of my base almost exactly matches the profile of my key, as you can see right here. And that's super important, because that's how we're going to get it to be symmetrical all the way, is we're just going to keep matching the coils to the profile of the key. Alright, so every time that you add a coil, you've got a score. So now you could use a fork, that's just fine. You could use a sharpened stick or a pencil. That's usually my preferred way. And you want to also score the coil itself. And then I'll attach it. Now this clay is very wet, just came out of the extruder, so I don't need any water. Just gently pressing it onto the clay. At this point, not even really pressing it, just kind of placing it. And then what you want to do is you want to match that up against the key. So here, give it a little bit of a wiggle and a push, a little wiggle and a push as I match it, holding that key all the way in against the bottom, right here, like that. A little wiggle and a push, wiggle and a push. Okay. As I go around and around and around. And I have a little bit of extra on the end here. That's okay. I'll just cut that off. Maybe even scoring these ends right here so that they make a good connection. And putting them together. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and smooth the coils into the base. You'll always smooth down. So I think for this first one, I could just use my finger. That'll be fine. But I could also use a butter knife or a wooden tool, just whatever you prefer. If you do add water, just add enough to lubricate your tool. Not a lot. Water will make it weak. Okay, at this early stage, I can just go ahead and flip this over to do the outside of it. Later on, when this is taller, then it'll be easier for me to just work down. I think I like the wooden tool the best because it has just enough tension in here to grip the clay and really move it in to this corner right here, or to that seam, I should say. Okay, so there it is, fully attached. It's a little rough, but that'll be all right. I can smooth it out later. The most important thing now is that you get a good solid connection between the pieces and that you keep it symmetrical and in line with the key. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I'll check it up again against the key, keep spinning it round and round and round. You want to get it all good all the time. So in other words, you want to check it every time, because little things, when it changes a little bit, that can make a big difference later on. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'll add another coil to it. So always score. Whenever I see these things fail, people will work hard and they'll be looking pretty good. And then as they dry, they split into 2 or 3 or 5 pieces. And then you can see that they did not score. Because where it breaks, it'll just be smooth. One piece into the other, just smooth. You gotta score. Do not skimp on that. Okay, rough it up really good. And we've got a coil. Let's see, is this long enough? No, that's not long enough. But so let's say I've got a coil like this here, and it's not quite long enough. But let's say I have another piece of coil, or whatever, and I don't want to waste it. I can use more than one piece of coil to make this round. So I've got that there. Check that. Get this one about the right size for there. And so now between these two pieces, that should go full the way around. Here we go. So now that I have these two, I'm going to go ahead and put the one on. Just placing it up there. Heck, once you get this thing kind of big, it might be actually easier to do it in a couple of pieces. I'm going to score the ends on these, because I know I'm going to be attaching them anyways. All right, so there we go. And just like before, I'm going to match it to my key right here and give it just a little bit of a push down, a little bit of a push, a little bit of a push. In there, you see I'm pushing right here. My finger is just pushing right onto that as it pushes into that key a little bit. And it's matching that pretty good. Now I'll go ahead and get this one placed on there. So, score, score, score. Kind of place that on there and continue around. Just a little bit of a push in. Just kind of pushing it down. By pushing it down, it's just going to go into the key right here. You can see where I can cut it off. Score it up. And put those pieces together. Continue to check it against the key. Oh, good. And so now I'll smooth it in. You want to do this every time. Every time. Don't skimp on that. Because you'll be really sad if you don't smooth it in every single time. Because it's the smoothing it in right here that makes this a really strong connection. Makes it into one solid piece. Also, once this gets a lot taller, how are you going to get down there to do it? It's going to be pretty much impossible. Okay, and remember, always down into the piece there. And I've done it across here just to smooth it out a little bit, but your main thrust is always down, 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 connecting it in. Okay, so for the sake of craftsmanship, wouldn't be a bad idea to also smooth it out real good here. because once again, this is your last chance. Once this gets bigger and that hole opens or closes up, you won't be able to get in there to smooth things off. So just take a moment now and make it just right. Okay, and just like before, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to smooth up into from the coil into the base. You can see right here that my initial smoothing is not totally filling in that seam, but that's okay. It's a good opportunity for me to point out that with the clay, it's always little by little. If it didn't go in totally this time, when I spin around it, I can smooth it again, just so that it's uniform, and it will definitely go in then. So I've gone around once, and there's that little bit of a seam still. So I'll go ahead, and I'll just go around again, and you'll see that that will totally smooth it up. And there you have it. Finally, before I even think about adding another coil, I'll check it to the key. Okay, looks good all the way around. So I just keep doing the same thing, scoring it, scoring the coils, right? Adding the coils, checking again into the key, smoothing the inside, smoothing the outside, and it will grow and grow and grow and grow. If I keep flipping it over like this, and on this table, especially that's gathered a little bit of moisture to it, it's going to stick and it's going to be hard to work with. So I would just have a simple solution to that is just to take a paper plate here. Okay, so that way it can freely move around. And I can continue, I think probably one more coil like this. I'm just flipping it over. And from then on, I'll probably do it just from the side, getting it like that. Okay, so nice and smooth. Now another thing that I can do is I can make a small piece of paper. See, I've just taken a small piece of paper, folded it, and I can place it on the bottom here. Because I think at this point, I'll no longer be flipping it over because it's just too soft, right? And it would stick to the table too easy, and the torque will distort it. Same thing maybe with the bottom as well. So by putting that small piece of paper, and I don't want it to stick out much past any of these edges here. When I put that on the table, you can see it spins so much easier. So I don't have that torque that's going to be distorting it. Torque, what I mean by torque is the twisting motion. Okay, so now it's reached a height that it no longer be practical to keep flipping it over in order to smooth the edges on the sides. So what I'll do is I'll just take my tool and I'll just get it like this. Easy peasy. And because I've got that piece of paper under there, it glides really nicely. So I don't get, once again, that torque or twist as I do this. And I don't know if you notice this, but as I smooth, I grab just enough of this clay to fill in that little seam right there. See? Now oftentimes as I'm smoothing, I'm going one direction, let's say this way diagonally, but then the second time around I'll go the opposite way diagonally, still down, and eventually I might go across or even up that way. But initially I'm getting the clay into that crevice and pushing the clay in towards the base, from the coil into the base. So this way here, and then the opposite, but still down, 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 down. See, I think one of the best tools for using is the wooden tool because it has so many different surfaces. This one here, as you can see, is rounded out like this. So it's really great for doing that initial. And then here even, the edge of the tool has got this little bit of a curve in, and that's really helping to get it smoothed down like this and smoothing it. Plus, once again, the wooden tools have just the right amount of tension that will grab the clay and move it down. Okay, and as always, check it against your key. I know I keep repeating myself on that, and you want to check it from all the way from where you're at, right, all the way down to where you were. And I keep repeating myself because that is, well, the key to making this project work, to making something that is symmetrical and beautiful all the way around. And as you can see right here, this is matching pretty good here, here. And so as I continue to go up, it won't be very hard to keep making it match as it goes up. But if I don't get it right down here, then it's going to be very hard to get it right up here.